So I was waiting a long time to get it in my hands, and finally here it is, the affordable full-frame DSLR from Nikon. But first of all, let me tell you why I wrote D600/D610 in the title of this video. See, the Nikon D610 was introduced as a successor to the D600 for the one main reason: major issue with the shutter mechanism that was causing buildup of dust or oil on the sensor. As far as I know, at some point Nikon offered free cleaning or shutter mechanism replacement and eventually exchange for the newer problem-free D610. I'm not sure if the cleaning or the shutter mechanism replacement was ever enough to permanently fix the issue, so before getting into the video, I have to say I would advise getting the D610 instead of the D600. That said, both D600 and D610 offers pretty much exactly the same performance, and at the side note, my D600 seem to be problem free, as you will see in the moment. Used materials are a mix of magnesium alloy and plastic, which I consider as fine. Body is also weather sealed. I'm kind of a Nikon guy, so I am in love with the overall design, but more objectively speaking, everything is well put together and the button layout and whole type of operating is typical for prosumer Nikon DSLR. Every function can be accessed quickly and the camera is always meant to be ready for an instant action. For example, let's say you want to change the ISO. Just hold one button and move the dial. That's it. That is the case for changing the white balance, metering mode, image size and etc. I really love this. Camera's dimensions are what you would expect from this type of pro-level DSLR, and it weighs 850 grams. But to be fair, ergonomics are in fact very good. Grip is big and very well shaped, so you can hold it comfortably and steadily. Okay, so the body actually feels great. And it's not that heavy when I'm using it. I don't feel, like it is uncomfortable to use or something. It's for sure not the lightest and most compact camera to use, but I've seen a lot of worse, and for full frame, great. And the quality itself, we get some plastic, but overall I have no complaints. It feels very solid. Camera is 8 years old now, and the picture quality is class above many APS-C cameras on the market even today. If I had to describe it in one word, it's remarkable. Personally, I believe that the D600's performance is even slightly above the Sony A7. Almost all of the things I loved in the performance of the best camera that I've tested to this day, the Nikon D810, are also found in this D600. Good color accuracy, good dynamic range, and true sense of depth in the pictures. You can really recover a lot of information from shadows and highlights in the post-process, as you can see from those pictures. One thing I miss when compared to the Nikon D810 is the lack of those extra megapixels. That said, those are different cameras and the D600 is still able to capture same fantastic definition and depth. The level of detail is top notch in comparison with the similar sensor resolution rivals. Low-light performance is also superb, very usable results up to ISO 6400, not to mention a very low level of noise when shooting up to ISO 1600. Things look different when we take a look at the video quality. I'm very far from recommending this camera for videography. 1080p up to 30 frames per second is per se highly inadequate by today's standards, and I generally find the video recordings to lack in the level of detail and sharpness. On the other hand, shallow depth of field from a full-frame sensor might give you some worthy shots. User interface is like in most of the Nikon cameras, relatively easy to use, and it works pretty fast. Much newer cameras tend to be worse in this regard, so really not bad for a camera from 2012. Quality of a 3.2-inch LCD panel on the back is more than decent to previous shots you've taken. Good contrast, colors and sharpness. It's not articulated, but I don't mind that, since the videography aspect is plain outdated. And the screen quality when using is absolutely phenomenal. even in, you know, it's not the worst conditions, but we have some amount of sunlight here and no problem. In contrary to today's trends, I still believe DSLRs have some noticeable advantages. One main reason to go with the camera like this is battery life and instant readiness for action. You won't experience similar thing with any mirrorless camera on the market. I can leave this camera switched on for days. In the mirrorless, their screens are constantly using a lot of power, and the result, complete loss of power, is a matter of 1 to 2 hours, if not minutes. That's why their sleep mode is enabled by default. In the Nikon D600 you look through the optical viewfinder, a really great one, which gives plenty of vision, but it's again something you expect from the full-frame DSLR. The camera features pretty fast 39-point autofocus, although all of the focus points are located in the center of the frame. Not that it matters for what I shoot, and I think a lot of you could relate to that. So if you would ask me if this camera is worth buying, I would say absolutely. You can find used D610 for less than the cost of the Canon 5D Mark III, which I've tested, and honestly, in my opinion, D610 performs better. Its pictures have higher level of detail, better colors and more dynamic range. So in my mind, this makes the Nikon D600/D610 the ultimate full-frame DSLR for the price. But what about the mirrorless options? Well, there is really only the one rival, the Sony A7. I'm not gonna bash this one because I think it's a pretty solid performer and it's slightly cheaper than the D610. I will just say I slightly prefer the Nikon's picture quality, handling, battery life, grip and having that optical viewfinder. Tell me which one would you get? Would it be the Nikon D610 or the Sony A7 or maybe the Canon 5D Mark III? Consider watching my other videos and subscribe to see more content like this. See you in the next one. Peace.